This week on Maximize Minimal Living, Curtis, Sam, and I went to the biggest tourist attraction in New Brunswick. We went to HOPEWELL Rocks. In the off-season, we got to explore a virtually empty landmark and really just took advantage to get as up close and personal as possible.
What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode here of Maximize Minimal Living, and today we're going to try something really cool. We've come to HOPEWELL Rocks in the off season to kind of avoid the crowds and avoid all the craziness, but so we're going to head down to the biggest landmark in New Brunswick and one of the biggest landmarks here on the East Coast. So we're super pumped. We have probably about a 1 kilometer hike down. We're almost high tide, so we're just after high tide, so we should be able to see what the rocks look like when they're full of water, and then in a little bit of time, by the time we get there, actually make it down to the ocean floor. So we're going to follow along this trail and hopefully get there. Alright, so we've made it down to HOPEWELL. This is our first shot of it. What we're going to do now is actually head down to the ocean floor and walk amongst the rocks.
So right now we're going to start going down the big icy stairs down to the ocean floor. So one thing to really think about when you're going and venturing onto the ocean floor is the actual tide times, because the tide does come in rather quickly at some points closer to high tide, and you don't want to get trapped down on the ocean floor. You have a good amount of time, around 4-ish hours, 3.5, 4 hours to explore the ocean floor if you time it correctly, and I think we did today. So the low tide time today is around 6:30, so we're gonna have a good amount of time to explore down there.
And it's important to remember that because this is the off season, if you get trapped down there, no one's coming to get you. So this isn't a monitored spot right now. If you come during the summertime, there are a lot more people and a lot more rules. A bunch of those are put up on the sign behind me, and we're gonna follow those rules as best we can, obviously today. But no one's coming to help you if you get stuck down there. Alright, so we are officially on the ocean floor. A little bit of scampering required, but we're down here now, and we're going to head along the coast. As the water pulls out, we should be able to get further and further and further, and then eventually turn around and come on back. So as many people have talked about before, HOPEWELL Rocks in the Bay of Fundy is the place where they have the highest tides of anywhere in the whole world. So this area can see tidal changes of 22 feet in a day, which, I mean, for most people is almost unfathomable. All right, so we can see we found kind of this chasm cave. It's not much of a cave, but there is one thing we do also want to be careful of, and added danger of coming in the off season. All this ice, especially now that it's been warm and the sun's hit it, is pretty loose, and you definitely don't want to be under any of these when they decide to fall. So we'll make our way in there nice and quick, check it out, and then get out of harm's way. This is what you don't want falling on you from up there. So this is a great example of how when something's not exposed to as much sun and wind and warmth here actually inside of this cave, you have this big ice wall, which is probably, 8 to 12 feet long and a good 10 feet up. This is really impressive. Cave now, boys and girls. This is what it's like in cave. It's not completely underground. So there is one thing that is also worth noting here is that a couple of years ago there was one of these big rock pinnacles like over there where the current and the water has cut away a lot of the base that actually fell over, and it made headlines in the news. And you can imagine that if that were to happen while you're in its vicinity, that would be a very scary experience. Just the pure noise and shockwave of something like that hitting the ground next to you or even close to you, that'd be a big deal. It's got a rock hop and film at the same time. It is a thoroughly impressive place to be. It's just like cathedrals of rocks on both sides. One side and the other. Pretty wild. But it's beautiful. There's just such a peace, quiet of being able to come here when no one else is around, which is a bonus. All right, well, we've come to a point where around the back of that side it's cut off by ocean, so we can't go there. But there is a small hole in the rock here which we can explore, see if we can actually get through and beyond this point. Oh yeah, we can fit. It's a big hole. Curtis, you ready to get in there?
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm ready. Ready as ever.
Always ready, this guy. Just squeeze through those rocks. You go around. You can go around. There's space over there. Part of the beach is actually pretty cool because like it's scattered with all of these massive boulders seemingly in the middle of nowhere and for no reason. And so it kind of makes you wonder whether or not some of these were actually rocks that fell over from other places, and which one of them are bases and which one of them are tops that fell over. It's just, it almost has like a otherworldly feel to it. Very cool. Alright, so it seems like once we get through this opening, we're pretty much at the end as far as we can go for Hopewell. So we're going to just check out this last beach and then probably turn around and make our way back so we don't get caught out by the tide. Here we go. All right, so while we leave the Coast Guard safety station, we're gonna turn around and start making our way back along the coast to where we came in, and then back up the trail to the parking lot and out to the car. If this is where I leave you, thank you very much for watching. As always, like and subscribe as usual. Do all the things that everyone tells you to do, and I will see you guys next week.